Hey, I promise, don't you trust me if you jump off there. I won't touch you again. He looks down, the height emphasizing the gravity of the situation. The promise echoes. Return all pictures and money if he complies. Wide, terrified eyes betray the immense pressure being exerted. Looking down, the street below seems impossibly far away. A nervous sweat beads as he processes the terrifying demand. They mockingly assure him it's only the third floor, calling him a scaredy cat. The captors grow impatient, demanding he stop wasting their precious time. A chilling threat surfaces. If he refuses, they will personally ensure his fall. His face shows a flicker of desperate realization before the inevitable. He asks if this terrifying ordeal is finally over, seeking finality. A sudden, forceful movement sends his foot slipping from the ledge. A raw scream tears from his throat as gravity takes hold. He plummets downward, arms flailing toward the receding building edge. From above, his tormentors watch his descent with cold satisfaction. One captor smirks, recording the horrifying spectacle on his phone. The world rushes up to meet him in a terrifying blur. His expression hardens, a grim acceptance settling over his features. He lies still on the pavement, questioning if this is his end. Someone screams for an ambulance, lamenting a life lived foolishly. Bright lights descend as masked figures loom over him, questioning everything. A worried parent asks about their son, receiving grim news. He is stable but suffering from multiple fractures, consciousness uncertain. A single tear falls as a whispered apology escapes into the darkness. Ethereal voices promise acceptance and the fulfillment of desires. His eyes fly open in sheer terror, jolted back to reality. He stares upward, the ceiling lights mocking his sudden return. He recognizes the surroundings, whispering, "This place." A basket of wilting flowers with a purple ribbon sits silently nearby. He wonders where he is, still lying in the strange bed. He clutches his head, overwhelmed by the shocking realization. He is alive. The relentless ticking of the wall clock marks the passage of time. Wiping his face, he slowly begins to process his surroundings. He calls out weakly, "Is there anyone out there?" He repeats his desperate plea, "Can anyone hear me?" Even the wilted flowers seem to mock his current state. He groans, questioning why his limbs feel impossibly heavy. The grim prognosis confirms his worst fears, multiple fractures. The horrifying truth hits, that terrible event was real. Panic surges as he confirms his legs refuse to obey. He strains, shouting again into the oppressive, empty air. Trapped and terrified, he begs for any sign of help. Wide-eyed terror grips him as the quiet deepens. A desperate need to move surfaces, seeking support. Spotting an IV stand, he registers a potential aid. His trembling hands clutch the metal pole tightly. He manages to stand, leaning heavily on the stand. A small victory is claimed. He can finally walk. He begins to move, the stand creaking with each step. The doorway looms ahead, promising an unknown exit. Peeking out, his expression shifts to cautious alarm. The dim hallway stretches into oppressive darkness ahead. The chair scrapes loudly, revealing his bare foot near the hospital sheet. He wonders aloud why this unsettling place is completely deserted. He calls out, dragging his IV stand down the long, empty corridor. Gripping the stand tightly, his wide eyes scan the shadows nervously. A woman in uniform retreats into the gloom, eliciting a shocked gasp. Relief washes over him momentarily, then questions about missing people surface. He calls out again, spotting a strange, suspended figure in the distance. A chilling close-up reveals a hand dripping with dark, viscous fluid. Frozen in terror, he clutches the stand as the horror becomes undeniable. The imposing, blood-stained figure looms over the patient, pushing an IV stand. His wide, terrified eye reflects the immediate, overwhelming danger closing in. A heavy footstep sounds, signaling the approach of something dreadful. The masked, disfigured nurse figure shambles forward with unnatural gait. A choked cry escapes him as the reality of the situation hits hard. He grips his makeshift weapon, the IV pole, preparing for a desperate flight. He glances back, confirming the horrifying pursuer is gaining ground quickly. The creature lunges forward, its appearance utterly shocking and grotesque. He reacts instantly, clinging to the pole, a small sound escaping his lips. Escape seems possible near a closed door, a fire extinguisher nearby. A fierce declaration echoes, "I'll survive!" The pursuer's heavy steps pound closer down the dark corridor. His desperate hand clamps onto the cold metal door handle. He pulls the door open, a bloody hand lunges toward him. The horrifying visage of the creature screams directly into his face. Both hands strain, desperately trying to secure the closing door. He slams the IV pole against the doorframe for reinforcement. The door shudders violently as something impacts it hard. A guttural roar erupts from the enraged, blood-soaked pursuer. Bloody handprints mark the door, evidence of the terrifying struggle. The sounds of impact fade as the figure retreats down the blood-splattered hall. He cautiously checks the door, whispering, "Did it leave?" Confusion and terror grip him as he wonders about the unfolding nightmare. A shadowy presence looms close, its features obscured in the darkness. A sudden, shocking realization causes his wide-eyed alarm to spike. The monstrous visage, smeared with gore, lunges forward with a terrifying grin. His dilated eye captures the reflection of the horrifying attacker approaching. The monstrous face looms close, its grotesque features frozen in a silent snarl. She strains against the bindings, a terrifying sight indeed. He scrambles backward as the afflicted woman lets out a guttural cry. He questions how these two souls became so utterly transformed. A sudden, sharp realization cuts through his overwhelming terror. Hope flickers as he spots a phone in pocket. He resolves to contact the authorities immediately about this horror. The creature behind the bars screams again. His throat tightens. He apologizes to the blood-soaked figure holding a makeshift weapon. Reaching out desperately, his focus narrows on the objective. His trembling hand secures the vital communication device. The restrained horror unleashes a deafening primal shriek. The monstrous visage lunges forward, eyes completely blacked out. He clutches the phone, breathing heavily after the close call. A clear thought emerges. Escape from this nightmare is paramount. He frantically attempts to manipulate the heavy door mechanism. He slips out quickly, glancing back into the darkness. Now mobile, he grips an IV stand for support in the gloom. He shuffles down the dark corridor, leaning heavily on the IV pole. A sudden wide-eyed look of alarm freezes him mid-stride. He pauses, looking out the window at the ominous night sky. Blood stains his face, confirming the danger is very real. His shocked internal monologue screams disbelief at the unfolding horror. A sudden, jarring sound startles him as he clutches the pole. His phone screen reveals a terrifying emergency message about variant humans. The view shifts to utter chaos and destruction outside the hospital walls. He recoils in terror, dropping the phone onto the cold floor. A moment of clarity strikes. He remembers the crucial information. Dialing 112, the emergency line rings out into the darkness. His voice cracks, pleading for someone to answer the desperate call. He sits against the wall, urging the phone to connect quickly. The call remains unanswered, his anxiety visibly spiking again. He leans out, peering into the ominous, dark surroundings. Below, another figure moves quickly across the cracked pavement. He shouts a warning out the window to the person outside. Strong hands grip a metal pole with intense, focused effort. A man strains, pulling against some unseen, powerful resistance. Back inside, the patient recoils, clutching the pole for support. A frantic shout echoes, demanding the door be opened immediately. The man outside screams a desperate warning. They are closing in fast! Inside, the patient looks on with dawning horror at the situation. The infected figures surge forward with terrifying, relentless speed. The man inside pleads for patience while the danger mounts outside. The man outside turns, realizing escape is now his only option. The blood-soaked pursuers close the distance with horrifying momentum. The patient inside watches in terror as the threat reaches the glass. He resolves that he must leave this place and offer assistance now. A grotesque, reaching hand smears the barrier, demanding entry. A stained hand desperately grips the fabric, pulling with terrible force. The man outside struggles violently as a grotesque figure clings to his back. His face contorts in sheer panic, trapped beneath the relentless attacker. A terrifying trio of bloodied faces presses against the barrier, their eyes vacant. The patient inside finally pushes the door open, stepping into the gloom. He calls out tentatively, "Ah, mister?" searching through the haze. Sounds of impact echo as figures move violently within the swirling darkness. His wide eyes reflect the horror unfolding just beyond his reach. More figures, clearly afflicted, surge forward in a chaotic, bloody rush. A grim expression shows the strain of the unfolding chaos. The man's eye cracks with an unsettling, dark transformation. Bodies are entangled in a violent, shadowy struggle amidst the gloom. His eyes become totally black. Several figures aggressively surround and subdue another person. The aggressors stand over the fallen, calling him a vile name. Someone shouts the name Kim Junho, jolting him from his stupor. The menacing group demands his immediate participation in their actions. Footsteps approach, signaling an inevitable confrontation or involvement. Overwhelmed, the young man collapses, clutching his head in despair. He is warned that failure means immediate physical consequence. One man apologizes to young Hyuk while another claims helplessness. The aggressor dismisses any pretense of kindness with a sharp retort. A terrifying figure declares that this person is the object of greatest resentment. The terrified man frantically denies knowing the situation would escalate this way. Others stand by, their presence confirming the inescapable situation. He is accused of knowing everything from the very beginning. The accusation rings out. He betrayed his friend for personal safety. Shadowy figures reveal his comfortable life was built on another's sacrifice. His denial is weak as his eye shows extreme internal turmoil. A monstrous voice screams the damning accusation, "You killed Lee Jung-hyuk." He shrieks a desperate denial, "It's not my fault," echoing in the darkness. A heavy brick is grasped, the instrument of impending, terrible action. A sudden, violent assault begins, crushing the figure beneath. The attacker's focused rage propels the brutal, swift impact. A sickening strike connects, spraying crimson against the gloom. The scene dissolves into a terrifying silhouette against a blood-red backdrop. A gruesome, dripping aftermath reveals the horrific consequence of the attack. The assailant, now stained and menacing, looms over the fallen victim. Smirking onlookers label the perpetrator with a single chilling word, murderer. A desperate denial erupts as the final blow lands. The attacker screams, "It wasn't my fault," over the carnage. The heavy, stained object clatters onto the dark ground. A stained hand reaches out toward the fallen figure below. Both figures are now covered in the grim, dark residue. The marked man stands above the defeated, breathing heavily. A terrifying, wide-mouthed scream echoes into the oppressive darkness. Thick, unnatural fog begins to swallow the surrounding cityscape. Someone wearing a mask is carefully carrying a limp companion. The blood-splattered face of the aggressor contorts in manic glee. Figures descend through the unnatural fog, their approach marked by ominous sounds. The masked protector urgently commands everyone to move quickly inside. The guardian watches intently, ensuring the injured companion is safe inside. A blood-soaked horror bursts through the doorway, its eyes vacant and terrifying. More of the grotesque, bloodied figures emerge from the swirling darkness outside. One of the afflicted stares blankly, while a survivor watches from a window above. The man in the beanie shouts a dire warning about the approaching mutated horde. Despair sets in as he reveals the lack of supplies and the impossibility of return. Accusations fly, placing the blame squarely on the young woman standing between two men. She counters with a desperate question, appealing to their humanity regarding the child. One man insists they cannot afford to worry about children versus adults now. He warns they will be trapped and perish because of this mysterious child. The question hangs. Is there any guarantee the child isn't one of them? Fear rises about what happens if the sleeping boy awakens as a monster. Another voice agrees with Young Hwan's grim assessment of the situation. If the child is a variant, they simply cannot handle the consequences. The cold suggestion is made. They must expel the child from their shelter. A young woman reacts with shock, her eyes wide with disbelief. She fiercely challenges the man, demanding to know if he's lost his senses. She argues they have no proof the child has turned into a mutant yet. Another survivor looked on, utterly confused by the sudden tension. The man's cold resolve was met with the young woman's fierce defiance. Suddenly, the child transformed, eyes blackening, reaching out with terrifying speed. The young woman recoiled, screaming for the monstrous thing to stay away. The child desperately pleaded for rescue while clinging to the panicked man. A heavy boot stomped down, signaling the end of any mercy. The hardened man violently shoved the young woman away from the child. He struck the afflicted child with brutal force, blood splattering. The man roared in exertion as the confrontation reached its peak. The child was violently thrown through the glass, shattering the barrier. The man stares out at the dark, broken world beyond the shattered pane. Below, the child lies still, surrounded by menacing, blood-stained figures. A grim realization dawns on the man's hardened, tense face. The infected surge forward, their approach a terrifying, blurry rush. He confronts Lee Soo-yeon, demanding accountability for the unfolding disaster. Young Hwan is gravely injured, bleeding out, a desperate question hangs. The man presses the issue, reminding her of her promise to take charge. Soo-yeon is paralyzed by fear as the gravity of the situation sinks in. Mutants will soon breach their location. Escape seems impossible now. A close-up reveals the sheer strain etched onto the young woman's features. He vows to keep the infected busy while she leads the others to safety. She accepts the grim task, promising to meet him at their designated location. A sudden, horrifying presence rushes toward her from the shadows. More of the infected surge forward, closing in on the escape route. She shouts, directing the panicked group away from the immediate threat. Soo-yun sprints ahead, the pursuers hot on her heels. The remaining two stand still, looking toward a dark, ominous doorway. The woman urges immediate departure toward the camp, overriding hesitation. She reminds him of Soo-yun's specific instructions to rendezvous elsewhere. The man's expression hardens with sudden, intense realization or concern. The infected rush forward, barely missing the hiding figure by the car. She peeks out, utterly stunned by the sudden chaos unfolding. She slides down, landing near a pool of dark, unsettling liquid. A gasp escapes as her eyes widen in absolute shock. She sees a pile of defeated, mutated corpses scattered around. Covering her mouth, she whispers in disbelief, "Who did this?" She remains frozen, huddled against the vehicle in terror. A lone, unsettling figure in a patterned uniform slowly emerges. Its face is horribly marred, revealing a terrifying fixed grimace. Her eye reflects the horror of this new, monstrous presence. She screams in pure terror as the situation escalates rapidly. Suddenly, more blood-soaked figures shamble into her view. She collapses to the ground, completely surrounded by the horrors. Hands reach out, closing in on her face in a suffocating grip. A powerful, dark impact flashes across the screen with incredible force. One of the grotesque figures recoils violently from the sudden strike. The attacker is sent flying backward, crashing hard onto the pavement. She stares wide-eyed as a dark, patterned hand looms over her. The patterned figure looms closer, its skin covered in strange markings. The remaining infected rush forward, their terrifying advance unstoppable. She questions in shock, what is happening? The infected creatures are suddenly fighting amongst themselves, a bizarre spectacle. Under the lone street lamp, the aftermath of the strange conflict is visible. She stares frozen as the patterned figure turns toward her. The patterned entity slowly approaches, its movements unsettling and deliberate. Her terror escalates as the figure closes the distance in the darkness. The strange markings cover the figure's feet as it stands over her. A ghostly image of Junho appears, merging with her horrified reflection. A close-up reveals the terrifying crack spreading across the figure's eye. The transformed Junho looks back, his expression unnervingly blank. The afflicted figure collapses, dark energy receding from the body. The girl stares in shock, questioning the sudden, terrifying stillness. A close-up shows the afflicted face, now seemingly unconscious or drained. A sharp, intense gaze pierces through the darkness, focused and calculating. Confusion strikes as the person awakens, restrained in a sterile room. A hand, perhaps belonging to an observer, rests near the restrained figure. A bright light descends, causing the restrained person to groan in discomfort. The girl recoils as a hand raises a blinding, circular object above them. She observes the eyes, noting the return to normalcy, asking who he is. A sudden large object rushes toward the now conscious person, eliciting a shout. She demands to know if he is a mutant or a human, gripping something tightly. She recalls seeing black eyes, questioning how everything returned to normal now. He feigns confusion, asking what she is talking about regarding variants or mutants. Her face contorts in fury as she screams, demanding an immediate answer. He frantically insists he understands nothing about her strange accusations. She stares intensely, refusing to believe his claims about black eyes or variants. She shouts to stop the pretense while he desperately claims he is telling the truth. He yells that he truly remembers absolutely nothing from that time. Her expression shifts to stunned disbelief. You don't remember? He pleads his innocence, stating he only remembers waking up in the hospital amidst ruins. He screams about zombie-like creatures, questioning his own sanity. She cuts him off, demanding a straight answer about being a mutant. He vehemently denies knowing anything about mutants, his terror escalating. Frustrated, she raises a baseball bat, ready to force the truth out. A moment of stunned silence as the threat hangs in the air. He breaks down, crying that surviving this chaos is already unfair. He admits he might be a mutant, but he was hunted too. Now he fears dying from a bat without understanding anything at all. She recoils, hearing him claim this situation is worse than past bullying. Her expression freezes, utterly confused by the mention of bullying. A single bead of sweat traces down the face, eyes wide with tension. With a heavy sigh, she demands an honest answer while gripping a blunt object. He recoils, utterly shocked by the accusation of killing a variant. She presses the issue, stating he fought those creatures right before her eyes. He claims total amnesia regarding anything after leaving the medical facility. She throws her head back in exasperation, letting out a frustrated sound. Holding a sharp tool, she grimly accepts the necessity of this action. Her gaze hardens, illuminated by a stark, unforgiving light. He curses under his breath, his face contorted in distress. She commands him to remain still, explaining she is cutting his restraints. He insists he won't release her because he doesn't trust her yet. She admits her own confusing and inexplicable behavior to him. She interrupts, asking him to explain the terrifying situation unfolding. He questions the mutants and the state of their ruined world. He points to the ominous black smoke covering the streets. She asks if he witnessed the smoke spreading across the city. The horrifying truth is revealed. Inhaling the smoke causes madness. Those who lose their minds begin violently attacking everyone around them. These monstrous, ravaged figures are terrifyingly identified as the mutants. He confesses they have no idea about the smoke's origin or cause. She insists he must remain confined for the time being. He desperately cries out, begging her to take him along. She counters, questioning if he grasps the dire situation outside. Her pain is evident. She cannot risk taking an unknown person. He must now fend for himself. A chilling realization dawns. She sternly reminds him to be thankful she freed him at all. Darkness envelops the city streets, signs flicker ominously. With a sigh, she walks away into the oppressive night. She pauses, perhaps reconsidering her harsh words. He reappears, ignoring her warning, determined not to be left behind. He insists he cannot control his actions either. Suddenly, a desperate cry for help echoes through the dark alley. She shouts for him to wait, then sprints forward with her weapon. Her expression shifts to one of intense focus and alarm. A horrifying struggle erupts, marked by sickening impacts and crimson spray. She grips the bat tightly, eyes blazing with fierce determination. The bat swings down in a powerful blurring arc. She recoils slightly, confronting the terrifying, blood-soaked assailant. The creature lunges forward, its face a mask of monstrous rage. She raises the bat high above her head for a final, desperate strike. The final strike connects with shocking, visceral force. The immediate aftermath leaves a dark, spreading stain on the pavement. The monstrous attacker collapses, the fight suddenly over. She gasps for air, the adrenaline beginning to fade away. A new shadowy figure appears, raising an object menacingly. The girl falls, her own struggle abruptly ended on the ground. The hooded figure stands over the fallen body in the dim alley. A man in pajamas stares, clutching a wooden stick in terror. His wide eyes reflect pure, unadulterated shock and fear. The newcomer reveals a chilling, unsettlingly wide grin. The man in pajamas peeks out, breath catching in the darkness. The hooded figure drags the limp girl away from the entrance. He admits to secretly following the unfolding events nearby. Now, he faces a terrifying crossroads, unsure of his next move. He witnessed the confrontation where the girl was taken down. The girl, now armed, defensively raises a metal bat. He realizes he desperately requires the girl's assistance for his own goals. With grim resolve, he decides there is absolutely no other option. He scrambles over the high gate, dropping his makeshift weapon. A sharp cry escapes as he tumbles onto the ground below. The boy peers through the window, his expression filled with sudden apprehension. A triumphant shout rings out as the figure spots the unconscious girl inside. A shadowy woman hums contentedly, noticing the boy watching from outside. The injured girl stirs weakly, groaning from the discomfort of her position. A hand offers 2 cups, asking if the young woman is feeling all right. She slowly opens her eyes, confusion clouding her gaze. The woman smiles unsettlingly, assuring the girl she is safe in her home. The girl sits up, asking the strange woman what transpired. The woman explains finding her injured on the street after hearing cries for help. The girl processes the story, offering a polite yet guarded, "Thank you." The woman suddenly probes about the girl's age and relationship status. The girl recoils, shocked by the sudden invasive questions about her size. More unsettling inquiries follow regarding her living situation and health. The woman's smile widens, declaring the girl's beauty and desire for a daughter-in-law. The girl stammers a hesitant response, clearly uncomfortable with the turn of events. The woman quickly covers, claiming she spoke out of turn to a new acquaintance. A meal is presented, urging the girl to eat because she looks malnourished. The girl politely declines the food, trying to maintain distance from the situation. The woman's demeanor shifts, demanding the girl eat, asserting adult authority. The girl stares, trapped as the woman insists obedience to elders is mandatory. "Water will suffice," the girl weakly concedes, reaching out for the cup. She drinks while the woman watches with a disturbing, knowing grin. The cups tumble, liquid spilling out onto the patterned floor below. A sudden wave of unease washes over the girl. She feels terribly strange. The woman's form blurs, her expression twisting into something monstrous and unsettling. A chilling promise, "It'll all be over," spoken with pure malice. The girl collapses onto the couch, succumbing to the sudden drowsiness. A hidden observer watches through the window, horrified by the unfolding scene. The woman retreats, contemplating applying makeup to the unconscious girl. The girl realizes the water was drugged, confirming her worst suspicions. But why? For what purpose? Her goal demands this girl's sacrifice. He clenches his fist, resolving to act immediately despite his condition. How can he possibly escape with her, facing that terrifying woman? Barefoot and weak, his escape begins now. He realizes sitting still is pointless. Time is running out. There is no time for hesitation. Action is paramount. First, he must find a way back inside to retrieve her. He will formulate a plan only once he is moving forward. Reaching out desperately, he searches for an entry point. Success! He finds an opening, grasping the edge of the window. He squeezes through the narrow opening, landing awkwardly inside. Tumbling onto the floor, he scrambles to regain his composure quickly. A voice startles him, asking if he is already awake. A woman with wide, unsettling eyes peers into the room. She questions if her ears deceived her with that noise. He sinks against the door, heart pounding in the darkness. A sharp exhale escapes him as he tries to stay silent. A distinct sound echoes, making him wonder what caused it. His eyes widen in terror as a chilling realization dawns. Below him, a figure is suspended, bound and helpless. The grotesque, masked face of the creature suddenly fills his vision. He recoils in horror, realizing the true, monstrous nature of his captor. Sweat beads on his brow as the chilling reality sinks in completely. Then he spots a disturbing Polaroid, revealing a dark, hidden history. This shocking image confirms the creature's violent, predatory nature. But the wall is covered in multiple photos of different, unknown victims. The old woman was kidnapping these people and delivering them to the monster. The sheer number of victims plastered on the wall is overwhelming and sickening. He stares at the evidence, questioning the depth of this terrible madness. Suddenly, the door creaks open as the old woman sings a cheerful tune. He urgently whispers, trying to rouse the unconscious woman beside him. He urgently shouts, shaking her shoulder to force her awake now. The woman stirs slightly, letting out a low, groggy sound. Realizing the danger, he declares the situation is truly terrible. He resolves they must flee before the sinister old woman returns. He wonders if he should attempt a desperate dash for freedom. He lifts the limp body, preparing for a swift, risky escape. The sound of movement alerts the approaching figure outside the room. They tumble to the floor as the escape attempt is violently interrupted. The man freezes, realizing the old woman heard their disturbance. She screams about catching people to feed them to a mutant, demanding accountability. The woman stands menacingly, holding a knife, questioning his audacity. She furiously defends her actions, proclaiming her son is everything to her. A flashback shows the mother obsessively focused on her son's future. The man clutches the limp figure, hearing the mother's terrifying vow. Her eyes burn with fanatical intensity, declaring she'll do anything for him. He recoils, calling her insane and questioning her bizarre pronouncements. She abruptly asks if he checked on his son's current condition. The mother demands he open his eyes wide and truly observe the situation. He desperately reaches for the door handle, shouting for her to see his state. A shadowy figure appears as the doorknob turns with dread. The man's face is a cracked, unsettling mask of dark intent. The mother's expression shifts to pure, wide-eyed terror. She strikes the boy, demanding he stop disappointing his mother. She reminds him he is her only son, demanding better performance. She embraces him, promising everything will be fine if he obeys. The boy weakly agrees, tears streaming down his face. He whispers, "Mom," as the mother looks on, horrified. The cracked figure also whispers, "Mom," with a chilling, wet sound. A large, menacing kitchen knife clatters onto the patterned floor. The cracked figure assures the boy his mother is right there, asking if he was scared. The figure comforts him, promising to fix everything for the child. A withered, veiny hand grips tightly into the woman's hair. The mother recoils in shock, questioning the figure. "Huh, son?" The monstrous figure declares, "It's because of you, mother!" The figure screams, "You are the reason I became like this," as the mother recoils. The masked figure rushes forward while two others flee the bloody scene. One of the fleeing individuals groans, complaining that their back hurts. The terrifying, blood-soaked figure lunges with an unnerving expression. The remaining survivor screams in pure terror as the monster advances. One man groans, pinned down, while another collapses nearby. A desperate command to run echoes as the woman crawls low. Her face shows exhaustion, barely able to move forward. Looking up, she sees ominous black smoke gathering outside the windows. Realizing the danger, she whispers that this situation is truly terrible. Survival instinct kicks in. She urgently needs to find a protective mask. Her gaze sweeps the room, searching near the dining table for aid. Meanwhile, the attacker presses down, surrounded by spreading blackness. The victim strains, admitting he has completely run out of energy. The masked menace looms over him, fully enveloped in the dark haze. The monstrous figure unleashes a terrifying, blood-splattered shriek. Its cracked face grins with unsettling, vacant black eyes. The attacker is violently thrown backward, crashing toward the door. A sudden, agonizing cry escapes the creature as darkness consumes it. A distorted foot lunges forward in a final, desperate motion. The masked woman questions the horrifying transformation. What happened now? The first victim lies still, covered in spreading, inky corruption. The newly transformed figure looms over the terrified woman by the window. She desperately pleads, "It's me! Wake up!" through her respirator. The possessed boy lunges forward, a terrifying blur of black energy. She screams for him to stop, begging him to regain his senses. The corrupted figure looms close, its face a mask of decay. The boy's back reveals strange, dark markings spreading across his skin. She embraces the afflicted boy, hoping to reach the person inside. A moment of recognition flickers, making her question everything. She realizes the true self might still reside within the corrupted shell. Outside, shadowy figures emerge from the thick, unnatural fog. Peeking from behind a brick wall, she observes the approaching threat. More grotesque figures, including one resembling an officer, are present. The only path to safety requires traversing this dangerous, infected street. The masked figure fiercely warns the other about being too loud. The nervous companion apologizes, worried about attracting unwanted attention. She insists he figures out how to move without making noise. He glances back, startled by a sudden unseen movement. She screams in horror, realizing the noise has drawn danger near. A grotesque figure attacks the companion, who cries out for the governor. Another creature begs the supposed governor to take them along too. The companion shouts back, denying he is the person they seek. A determined hand grips the heavy weapon tightly, ready for action. The female protector unleashes a brutal strike, splattering crimson everywhere. She snaps that his excuses are unhelpful after the chaos. He worries about the noise attracting more infected creatures nearby. She states they cannot retreat now that they have advanced this far. The protector demands he rectify the situation he initiated. She forcefully silences him, declaring it time for an experiment. Her intense gaze suggests a chilling, focused intent on the captive. A sudden, forceful action is taken against the struggling companion. Footsteps pound the pavement as the situation escalates rapidly. A group of figures rushes forward, their faces contorted in menace. The companion screams as a horrifying transformation takes hold. A monstrous maw opens wide, signaling a terrifying change. The scene abruptly shifts to a quiet, organized office space. A man cries out in terror, clearly distressed by his situation. Panic grips him, his mask is gone, risking mutation from the smoke. The woman calmly assures him he is safe now at their agreed location. She warns him to keep his voice down, lest the creatures hear them. He angrily questions her audacity in removing his vital protective gear. She reveals his transformation was necessary for their current safe arrival. Her intense gaze suggests she is still assessing the potential of his state. He vehemently rejects her claims, recalling her earlier unsettling words. After mutation, he defeats the creatures and shockingly returns to normal. Her intense eyes reveal a deep concern about his sudden reversion. She worries how long she can maintain control over his transformed state. She has no clue why he reverted to his human form so quickly. She wonders if he is faking his return to humanity for some reason. She demands more intelligence regarding this mysterious individual before proceeding. He nervously offers his name, Lee Soo-hyun, under her scrutiny. She points out they barely know each other, despite their shared ordeal. He demands answers, shocked by her sudden, probing questions about his identity. He reveals his name is Kim Jun-ho, asserting his identity under pressure. He explodes, accusing her of treating him terribly and like an object. She coldly reminds him of their perilous current circumstances. He questions her nature, unable to discern if she is human or something else. She emphasizes his memory loss regarding his own actions, labeling him dangerous. He counters, demanding why she brought him there if he is so threatening. Her eyes blaze. She needs his abilities to escape this terrible confinement. A determined figure strides down a desolate hallway, focused on returning. A man shouts her name, Lee Soo-hyun, as she appears before him. She calmly acknowledges the man, revealing him to be her father. Her father frantically questions her volunteering for the dangerous search party. He pleads she doesn't need to go, claiming others can easily replace her. Others suggest faking sickness and hiding away from the perilous mission. She gently touches his hand, calling him Dad with quiet resolve. Acknowledging his hardship since her brother's passing, she holds his hand. She refuses to be a burden, asserting her duty if she possesses strength. She assures him she would do the same if their roles were reversed. Her father looks down, processing her determined and unwavering conviction. With a bright, almost glowing smile, she promises her safe return. Standing firm, her father watches her stride down the long, empty corridor. Later, a tense meeting begins as she and another person exchange looks. She questions if the approaching figure is the expected Mr. Byungman. A sudden, loud impact rattles the door, signaling an unwelcome arrival. He insists it must be Mr. Byungman, despite the unsettling sound. The doorknob violently twists, suggesting forceful entry is imminent. She grabs a heavy bat, urging Kim Junho to arm himself quickly. Realization dawns. This intruder is definitely not the person they anticipated. Unfamiliar shoes appear beneath the door, confirming unwelcome company. 3 menacing figures emerge, their presence radiating cold, dark intent. The leader declares force is the simplest path, ignoring his comrade's hesitation. A chilling, dismissive cuts through the rising tension. A sudden, desperate cry erupts as the attack commences. The weapon swings down with terrifying, focused intensity. The intended victim recoils, caught in the immediate danger. A desperate grab intercepts the incoming forceful motion. One intruder shouts, insisting they are not the monstrous targets. The attacker retorts, clearly aware of the intruder's true nature. She demands answers about their presence and knowledge of this location. The man pleads for calm, promising a full explanation shortly. Another figure grabs a fire extinguisher, escalating the tense standoff. A familiar name is called out amidst the escalating confrontation. Someone tends to the injured woman on a makeshift medical cot. The caretaker assures them the wound is minor, needing camp treatment. The man demands an explanation for the woman's injuries, threatening consequences. The young woman's face contorts with intense suspicion and anger. The men react defensively, insisting they deserve gratitude for their aid. One man tries to de-escalate, saying suspicion is natural in this situation. He insists they simply found the lady alone and chose to assist her. The girl rejects the story, stating Jeon Uni was with camp colleagues. He counters, asking if she means the colleagues who abandoned the injured woman. She recoils in shock, demanding clarification on his shocking statement. A horrified girl realizes the shocking truth about her companions. She gasps, confirming Park Byungman abandoned her to her fate. She explains she directed them here because it was a safe haven. The man reveals Byungman never intended to meet them at the spot. The girl reels back, utterly stunned by the betrayal revelation. Outside, the building looms under a dark, ominous night sky. An older man peers intently out the window, his face illuminated. He offers a warm drink, asking if the other is feeling anxious. He notes the other man constantly watches outside since Soo-hyun left. The younger man assures him everything is fine with Byungman accompanying them. The older man voices his deeper concern, leaving the other confused. He suggests Byungman is too effective, his true intentions hidden. If trouble surfaces, the man will act decisively to resolve it. The younger man dismisses the worry, hoping his assessment is correct. Soo-hyun, armed with a bat, faces looming figures from below. A dark, imposing staircase beckons as one figure asks about proceeding. The grim reality is that this path is the only option remaining. Soo-hyun notices the unsettling increase in strange atmospheric disturbances. Her companion insists this route is suicidal, a direct path to demise. Facing open terrain, they risk attacks from unseen mutated threats. One voice blames themselves, suggesting a retreat to find a safer path. The other argues the camp is close, urging them past this dangerous spot. He counters that trusting her is pure suicide, remembering lives already lost. The worried companion urges careful consideration of the dire situation. The leader insists they proceed, revealing a hidden contingency plan exists. Soo-hyun reveals their advantage. They possess a crucial secret weapon. The hesitant man looks shocked, realizing he is the supposed secret weapon. The group moves forward, their footsteps echoing in the tense silence. One member dons a mask, realizing the need for illumination ahead. A weak beam cuts through the oppressive darkness of the vast space. The masked duo cautiously advances, their weak light barely piercing the gloom. The man with the light suddenly recoils, overwhelmed by the darkness. A skeptical voice questions if the supposed asset is truly reliable now. Soo-hyun urges the panicked man to regain composure and assist her persuasion. The hesitant man demands clarity, pointing out his body as the subject of discussion. He insists they should have communicated the plan regarding his involvement clearly. Soo-hyun's eyes widen in sudden alarm, sensing an unseen threat nearby. She shines her light upon a massive, imposing barrier blocking their path forward. Confronting the metal grate, she exclaims in frustration, "What's this?" The realization dawns. The road ahead is completely sealed off, just as feared. She declares they must search for an alternate route around the obstruction. Both survivors, masked against the toxic air, face the grim reality. Shadows surge forward, figures screaming, "Mutants! Mutants!" echoes ominously. Panic erupts as they shout, "Run away!" and flee in terror. A monstrous hand snatches her, demanding, "Got you! Let go of me!" Her companion struggles, pleading, "What do you want me to do? He's holding me too tightly." A shocking demand rings out, "Kim Jun-ho, help me! Turn into a mutant like last time!" He insists that staying put means mutual destruction, urging transformation now. She vehemently rejects the logic, shouting, "That doesn't make any sense. You're the one who doesn't make any sense." A towering, glyph-covered figure appears, commanding, "Think about what happened so far." The masked man questions if she truly remembers nothing from before. A desperate shout calls out the name, "Kim Jun-ho." Horrifying figures surge forward, closing the distance rapidly. She intensely urges him to act quickly. "Hurry!" A hand tightly grips a small, dark object. His face contorts, eyes glowing as cracked skin appears, surrounded by grasping hands. A foot firmly plants itself, beginning to ascend the steps. People wearing masks scramble up the subway stairs, fleeing something unseen. Kim Jun-ho turns back, urging the others onward as they escape. The pursuers are gaining ground, their terrifying presence filling the tunnel behind them. The masked man sweats, rushing through the smoky, blurred subway car. A chilling warning rings out. More mutated horrors block the path ahead. Kim Jun-ho desperately signals everyone to board the waiting train car. The woman and another companion scramble aboard, fear etched on their faces. A terrifying chorus of roars erupts as the pursuers close the distance rapidly. Junho braces himself, forcefully slamming the train doors shut against the threat. Distorted faces press against the glass, their hands clawing in frustrated rage. He glances back, eyes wide with shock at the relentless, monstrous pursuit. Ghastly visages peer through the windows, their empty eyes fixed on the escapees. The group piles into the train just as the platform fills with the pursuing horde. Trapped inside, someone realizes they are completely surrounded now. Panic erupts as they frantically search for the missing Soo-hyun. A heated argument erupts, blaming Soo-hyun for their current predicament. Defending her, another voice insists Soo-hyun was only trying to help. A sudden, aggressive gesture silences the defender immediately. The aggressor issues a chilling threat against further speaking out. The man regrets his impulsive actions, realizing the gravity of the situation. He collapses in despair, believing their survival hopes have vanished. Another survivor confronts Taewon, reminding him his warnings were ignored. Taewon snaps back, demanding to know what solution they expect now. Suddenly, one survivor declares he has a truly brilliant escape plan. The plan involves using the woman as a terrible sacrifice to secure their freedom. Horror dawns as the victim questions the monstrous suggestion being made. He coldly justifies the betrayal, claiming she was doomed anyway. The man presses the point, asking if they have any better options left. He shifts the blame, asserting the initial danger was not their fault. The proposer mocks the other, asking if he prefers becoming the bait instead. A chilling, wide-eyed grin confirms the sinister nature of his proposal. The woman's face registers pure terror as the reality sinks in. She collapses to the ground, utterly defeated by the unfolding nightmare. A primal scream echoes as they desperately flee the danger, shouting, "Run!" They bolt toward the platform signs, pursued by an unseen looming threat. The pursuer reveals a terrifying, distorted face with glowing red eyes. The main character curses, gripping a makeshift weapon tightly for defense. He stops abruptly, calling out a warning to the approaching woman. The woman shields the monstrous figure, insisting he means no harm. The group questions her sanity, pointing out the clear, monstrous transformation. She insists the situation is complex, urging them to trust her judgment. She clarifies the creature is a mutant, yet strangely non-aggressive toward people. The others react with disbelief, then the focus shifts to a missing person. The masked woman's concern deepens as she stares intently ahead. A chilling silence breaks as someone demands an answer from the unsettling figures. Panic erupts as a group huddles together amidst dark, swirling chaos. A sudden, guttural roar signals an immediate and terrifying shift in the situation. The monstrous figure charges forward with terrifying speed and aggression. A horrifying close-up reveals one victim covered in dark crimson splatter. The mutated being strikes with brutal force, leaving a trail of gore. Two monstrous figures overwhelm a person in a violent, chaotic surge. The survivors recoil as the creature stands menacingly on the platform edge. The attacker grins hideously, covered in the evidence of their savage action. A guttural sound escapes as the mutated figure violently attacks its target. The monstrous presence looms large while others flee into the dark station. "Now!" a survivor shouts, urging their companion to make a swift escape. Someone questions the identity of a fleeing figure ascending the stairs. A determined gaze beneath the mask declares the urgent need to locate her. The transformed man stands over the fallen, a low growl escaping him. A young woman peeks out, her shock evident behind the respirator. A horrified cry rings out upon seeing the prone, injured figure. She reaches out, whispering a name in disbelief over the fallen comrade. A hand, heavily stained with dark fluid, reaches out in the gloom. Overwhelmed, she whispers apologies to her fallen uni. She embraces the injured figure, consumed by regret for being too late. Illuminated by a faint light, she cradles her comrade on the desolate platform. The dark, ominous night sky looms over the desolate urban landscape. A small group wearing respirators decides to seek another refuge point. Doubts surface about finding safety and trusting the leader's repeated failures. Taewon is urged not to lose hope as a plan still exists. Park Jin-sung declares he is utterly exhausted with the current situation. His eyes widen in shock as the accusation of playing along is leveled. Suddenly, a horde of menacing figures rushes toward them in a terrifying blur. The terrifying figure boasts about finding a much more entertaining new toy. A solitary man stands by a window, contemplating the dark night outside. The bespectacled man pauses, a silent, weighty thought crossing his mind. A hand prominently displays a wristwatch marking the passage of time. Someone urgently calls out for Uncle Jinwan, hope flickering in the room. A breathless figure announces the return of the search team. Dread washes over the elder as he reveals Soo-hyun did not return. A determined figure strides forward with intense, focused energy. The returning group appears, supporting an injured comrade between them. A stern gaze locks onto someone calling out the name Byung-man. The elder's face contorts with shock and confusion in the dim hallway. One man expresses relief, but the other responds with hesitant uncertainty. The question hangs heavy. Where is the missing Soo-hyun? The grim truth emerges. Soo-hyun took the blame to ensure their survival. She bravely volunteered herself as the necessary diversion. The elder recoils, utterly horrified by the revelation of the sacrifice. An explosive accusation. What terrible nonsense are you speaking now? The leader violently grips the elder, demanding answers about the bait. Screaming in disbelief, the elder questions their very humanity for this act. The leader pushes back, demanding accountability for their own actions upon return. He accuses the leader of rash behavior, comparing it to cursing Soo-hyun. The elder insists Soo-hyun, like them, only wanted survival but chose sacrifice. He fiercely warns against degrading the daughter's noble, final decision. A sudden, chaotic street scene erupts under the dark, ominous night sky. Two figures, masked and tense, crouch low near a large vehicle. The young man's eyes, visible above his respirator, show deep concern. A devastating embrace unfolds as one figure apologizes over the injured one. The woman reacts with shock, her hand clutching the fabric of the other's shirt. A violent shove sends the leader reeling backward with a sharp cry. The camera focuses on the gruesome aftermath, stained crimson and broken. A terrifying scream erupts as a cracked fist lunges forward with immense force. Someone desperately pleads, "Stop it!" amidst the escalating confrontation. Tears stream down a masked face, insisting, "Jayan Uni is not a mutant." The attacker's face is a mask of horror, eyes glowing with unnatural red light. A shocked figure looks down upon the struggling people below him. Another person watches the scene unfold with intense, focused suspicion. A moment of doubt surfaces. Was I imagining things back then? Followed by a direct question. The masked man seems distracted, prompting the question, "Are you listening to me?" Snapping back to reality, he asks, "Oh, what did you say?" as the other sighs. The serious command is given, "Hide the fact that you can turn into a mutant," awaiting compliance. "Let's go in," she commanded, but he questioned, "Huh? Where?" He looked up, bewildered, demanding, What do you mean, where? She pointed toward the building, proclaiming, "Into the shelter, of course." The duo, masked and wary, proceeded toward the ominous structure. She stopped abruptly, asking with alarm, "What?" Her eyes widened, noticing something terrifying. "Why is the door open?" Inside the darkness, a terrified survivor pleaded, "No, don't come near me." A monstrous shriek erupted as a grotesque figure lunged forward. The masked girl reacted instantly, striking out with powerful force. He snapped back to action, urgently pointing, "This way!" Masked figures sprinted down the corridor, seeking escape from the gloom. The lead man glanced back, his expression tense with immediate danger. Horrific roars echoed as mutated figures lunged from the shadows. He questioned how these abominations infiltrated the supposed sanctuary. The man dodged a sudden attack, his companion stumbling behind him. He urged his injured partner to rise, emphasizing the deadly stakes. The woman cried out, clutching her injured ankle in pain. A terrifying, distorted face loomed close, its eyes completely vacant. Cursing the situation, the man raised his makeshift weapon for defense. They huddled together, bracing for the inevitable confrontation ahead. The girl checks on her masked teacher, demanding answers in the gloom. Relief washes over them as they confirm safety, questioning the camp's fate. A tense gaze focuses on Soo-hyun, probing about a crucial reunion. Shock registers as she learns her father ventured out searching for them.